This is the Contractors Corner podcast series from Solar Power World. Welcome to another edition of Contractors Corner. I'm Solar Power World Editor-in-Chief Kelly Pickerel, and today I'm talking with Johnnie Taul. He is president of DEPCOM Power, the utility-scale EPC and O&M company headquartered in Scottsdale, Arizona. So nice to talk with you, Johnnie.
Happy to be here, Kelly. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, first, we are talking in early June, so I'm wondering how things are going at this point in the coronavirus pandemic. I know that DEPCOM works in many states, so has work been paused in certain areas? How are things going?
Things are going really well. Like you said, we're building and operating plants in many states throughout the U.S. I've been successful in navigating the chaotic environment. The key is doing that safely, of course. Every state has unique restrictions and guidelines, logistical challenges, stay-at-home orders, things of that nature. But we've continued business under the umbrella of critical infrastructure and essential services designations. We've done things like issuing safe passage letters to our traveling teammates and certainly implementing many enhanced safety measures, again, to keep the team safe during this time. Kind of looking around at what we're seeing in terms of effects of this, one is a little bit in labor. We've seen minimal attrition of labor force, really in the single digits, so it hasn't been significant or unmanageable. One thing we do is we hire veterans as a core value, where over 20% of our workforce is made up of our nation's heroes, which we're very proud of compared to national average, which is around 6%. And I think that's one thing that certainly helped us. We found that their work ethic, leadership is an inspiration to everyone else on the job site and in the offices, and that's certainly a strong component of our success there. We've also done some other things like issuing temporary wage increases and bonuses to our project field teams, not necessarily because it was necessary to retain the team, but really just humble appreciation of the hard work that they're putting into our projects during this tough time that we're in. We recognize that a lot of our core supervision, as we work all over the country, a lot of our team travels from project to project. So not only are they dealing with the stress of the situation going on around them, but they're also remote from their families. So very thankful for the team that's working really hard to get through that. Another interesting area that I was thinking about was the permitting and inspections. So, in the permitting process, relationships are always important. You can imagine even more so when permitting offices are closed, personnel are working remotely. So we've been able to work closely with permitting authorities to utilize technology solutions to accommodate things like virtual page turns, pre-construction meetings, even video-based field inspections to keep the projects moving forward. So it's been an exercise in solutions that we're bringing to the obstacles as they pop up.
It's interesting about permitting. I know just talking with other contractors in the industry, they're hoping that maybe this pandemic can move us to more online permitting and just being able to do things more virtually. Have you found that the permitting offices in those situations, have they been receptive to these options?
Absolutely. I think that's spot on, that the situation is really driving the necessity for change, where a lot of these folks may be resistant to that under normal circumstances or embracing it now as a means to move things forward.
Mm-hmm. Has anything else been affected by COVID? Has financing slowed or anything else affecting getting your projects done?
While we have kept all of our projects on track during this time, there have been some impacts just to normal business operations. Internally, things like the increased protocols for safety for our team, enhanced cleaning and distancing protocols, things of that nature, and a lot of increased communications. So for internal team, our partners, subcontractors, and suppliers, and our customers, we established an internal task force for that purpose, to make sure that information is real time and accurate, and we're keeping everyone up to speed with the ever-changing dynamic around us. Established a web portal that would have real-time information and resources to assist our team. So that's certainly added to what we do internally. External to us, I'd say the most notable market impact we're seeing is a general slowdown to what you mentioned on the financing side. The late stage development cycle of projects, debt financing, tax equity for new projects is slowing. I'd say what's encouraging is that we aren't seeing projects being canceled by any means. It's just taking longer to get through that process. But the longer term outlook is incredibly strong. The volume of projects in the development cycle is ever increasing. So good news is coming, but we are feeling that temporary slowdown. One of the things that we're doing to help in that regard is joining many others in the industry as well to advocate for a revenue neutral cash grant for 2020 and 2021 that would replace the federal investment tax credit for a period of time and accelerate the disbursement of those project funds immediately to get to shovel-ready projects. So looking forward to some fruit out of that effort and leveraging some of our relationships with folks in the administration and Congress toward that goal.
Yeah. What kind of solar projects does DEPCOM typically perform? Is there a certain megawatt size that you are looking for? And what is your specific geographic coverage area that you're working?
Yeah, we do have, what we'd call our sweet spot in the market. From a services perspective, we perform a variety of services in the project value chain, from development support in late stage development cycle to full engineering, procurement, construction with in-house engineering disciplines, and full O&M, long-term services after the plant is constructed. While our headquarters is in Arizona, we do build in virtually every market in the US that utility scale solar is active, which is ever expanding. We tend to focus on projects between 20 megawatts and 200 plus megawatts would be our optimal project range. Many of our founding teams started our solar careers on these expansive flat desert sites in California and the Southwest. But over the years, as the industry has moved, we've developed a reputation of building tough projects throughout the country in forests and on rock and swamps. And, we've kind of seen just about everything. So we have quite a toolbox of execution solutions to deploy. And we've also faced our share of challenges, and the diverse geographies present things like hurricanes, floods, tornadoes, wildfires. We've seen all of those things. Now we can add global pandemic to the list. But we're pretty proud we've never issued a force majeure claim in all of those situations. That's one of the things that we feel is our job, is to work hard and to step up for our customers even when times are tough and get the projects done.
Yeah. How long has DEPCOM Solar been in the solar industry? How did you get started?
Well, our team has been involved in the utility scale solar space since the early 2008 timeframe, kind of the beginnings of the utility scale emergence in the US. I've been fortunate to build some of the largest projects in the world during the early years. Of course, when we started, the largest projects were measured in tens of megawatts. And then a couple of years later, they were in the hundreds and 500 megawatt projects. So we've seen utility scale solar evolve from what used to be a high cost subsidy and mandate driven form of energy generation to what's today the lowest levelized cost of energy in the US. So our team's proud to have played a part in that transition over the last decade. But from a DEPCOM specific perspective, we founded the company in late 2013 with 11 individuals from the solar and power space, of which I was fortunate to be one, under the leadership and vision of our CEO, Jim Lehman. With what we established at the time were a few guiding principles that we hold to this day. We're a private company. All employees are owners and have shares in the company. And we believe we have a unique character in how we do business. It's not complicated. It's pretty simple. It's just a do the right thing kind of culture. But focusing on creating American jobs, hiring U.S. veterans, like I mentioned. We give to charity. 10% of our net income goes to the most needy. Driving down the cost of electricity to U.S. ratepayers is incredibly important, and ultimately doing the right things for our customers, who we wouldn't be in business without them. So our change order rate of about 0.5%. We're a very low change order type of company. Again, we believe that we've been hired to step up and get the job done, and we want to be that no hassle EPC company. Never issued the force majeure notices, and all of our projects have finished on time. We exceed our energy guarantees, and on the O&M side, maximize our plant availability during that period. So, reflecting on our very first projects that were won solely on the reputation of the individuals that made up our leadership team, we're really blessed now, just a few years later, to win work and repeat business based on the performance and reputation of the company that we built in DEPCOM Power.
Yeah, and you mentioned, you do development, you do EPC work, you have the O&M, and I saw that you recently started a new division doing restoration, repowering, and recommissioning. Why were these services a good option to kind of bring into what you guys do?
Yeah, that's right. So we currently operate virtually every project that we have built out of our NERC Certified Operations Center here in Arizona, and a few maintenance hubs around the country. The customer's need for these additional services became more and more evident over the last couple of years as a few key trends emerged. Customers experiencing plant performance metrics of over 99.4% availability on their DEPCOM projects started asking us to take over expiring operations contracts on other portions of their operating fleet that we didn't construct, which weren't performing at those levels for a variety of reasons. I think as the industry matures, another trend is a growing and aging fleet of projects with technology solutions, whether it be single axis trackers or inverters, that may have exited the market over the years and are no longer supporting those platforms, are not performing at optimum levels either. And probably the third category would be with the geographic diversity of where projects are, the instances of extreme weather events that may damage a portion of the plant require restoration. So, among those things, we recognize that we're really well positioned to service that need in the market, given the specialized expertise that our team has in-house, and the focus on risk reduction, maximizing plant availability, energy optimization, and ultimately cost-effective long-term maintenance programs for our customers.
Great. Okay. Now, I understand that DEPCOM is committed to buying American-made products as often as you can. So how have these domestic supply chains maybe helped you through COVID or other uncertainties?
Yeah, so DEPCOM is very proud that we direct nearly 80% of the dollars we spend domestically. It definitely doesn't happen by accident. We actively work with our suppliers and partners to shift supply chain to U.S. sources, and work hard to ensure that we aren't paying more for that at the same time, using volume commitments and other sourcing strategies. But to your point around the COVID situation around us, we've really had minimal supply chain disruption during the pandemic. I'd say largely in part due to how limited the volume of imported materials and equipment are on our projects. For the minimal disruptions we did see, we were able to mitigate any actual impacts by, simple project execution strategies of resequencing activities to accommodate shifted delivery schedules and things of that nature. But it really has been minimal. I'm sure some of our suppliers at times may get a little frustrated with how relentless we are in this pursuit, but we believe it's good risk mitigation and just important for our country to bring manufacturing back and all the U.S. jobs that come along with it.
Yeah, that is wonderful. So tell me about the DEPCOM Gives, this nonprofit that you're involved with.
So this is one of my personal absolute favorite things about DEPCOM. We founded the company. One of our core values that we set from day one was to tithe, or to give 10% of our net income to charity in the community, in the actual communities where we're building. And as you can imagine, when we started, 10% of zero was a pretty small amount, but that blessing has grown to what's now millions of dollars a year, with over $6 million donated to date to just some incredible organizations. So to ensure good stewardship of those funds, we established a nonprofit organization called DEPCOM Gives, with a mission to focus our donations on 70% of that to the most needy. So this is the hungry, the homeless, the children that are in need in these communities where we're building. 20% to veteran organizations, and the other 10% to educational and solar-related initiatives. And we have a pastor on staff, Pastor Jeff, that personally goes into these communities and is our hands and feet to find and thoroughly vet the right organizations, so we know that every dollar is truly making a difference. Our project teams and employees all around the country raised personally over $80,000 just recently in personal donations, so not corporate funds, but out of personal paychecks to support the COVID-19 relief for individuals and families that have been hit hardest by the pandemic. So just really proud that our team just has a really big heart for giving and generosity and making a difference around us. So very proud of the positive impact we're having in these communities.
Yeah. How many employees does DEPCOM have now?
We currently have about 200 management, supervision, engineering staff, and about 2,000 construction craft across the country, across our projects.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's wonderful. Really big hearts from everybody. What are some of the challenges in utility scale right now?
Well, like I said before, the long-term outlook is incredibly bright for the industry. I would say there are a couple of dynamics in the market that are presenting challenges. One would be the international trade volatility. It can certainly be disruptive, whether it be the ever-changing tariff treatment on bifacial module technology, or an outright import exclusion from adversarial countries and things of that nature. It's important to stay informed on the latest dynamics, because they can be complex and they also can change quickly. Equipment and materials make up the majority of the capital stack on a project, so the influence of these types of things can really move the needle. As far as DEPCOM specifically, as we discussed earlier, we're fairly resilient to some of those influences due to our domestic sourcing strategies, but still a very important topic to stay on top of. The other thing I would mention would be specifically resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic. The most notable impact does seem to be in terms of that general slowdown in debt financing and tax equity on near-term projects. So projects that were already in process are certainly moving forward. The ones that were next in the queue seem to be taking a little bit longer. But the long-term outlook is encouraging. Things are moving. And one of the things we're doing is working hard with our customers during that kind of slow period on upcoming projects to move as much forward as possible in terms of engineering, permitting, pre-construction planning, the things that are fairly minimal capital expense, so that once the financing is secured, we're off to the races.
Okay. Are you installing storage at all?
We are. Yeah, just actually last month we installed an energy storage system with Tesla on one of our PV projects in Colorado, and we're working on a number of other opportunities near term as well. Seeing where the industry was headed, we've invested in making storage integration a core competency in our in-house engineering capabilities, and also established strategic technology relationships to make sure we can deploy those best-in-class storage solutions as the segment of the industry really takes off.
Mm-hmm. So in the midst of everything, coronavirus, everything that's going on, what is DEPCOM hoping to accomplish in the next few years?
We're looking at the market that, from our perspective, and seeing where it's headed is just so strong in terms of how sustainable it is for planned new and replacement capacity on the grid. The economics of low-cost utility-scale solar ensure a very strong free market future. So we feel like, we are in the right industry and well-positioned to go down that road and continue on the path that we're on. And we're laser focused on continuing a steady growth of market share year over year, expanding complementary business channels that we mentioned of energy storage and what we call our 3R business unit, the restoration, repowering, and recommissioning, and maintaining just a relentless focus on customer service. It's the long-term relationships that we're really investing in year over year. And, while we do that, it's just continuing to make a difference. And, we're so blessed to live in the country that we do. And we get to deliver low-cost energy solutions, create jobs, buy American products, hire veterans, give back to charity. We just absolutely love what we do and plan to keep doing it.
Yeah, you guys definitely have a strong background, and I think you'll definitely do well. But thanks for talking to me today, Johnnie. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Kelly.
This has been another edition of Contractors Corner. Join us each month as editor Kelly Pickerel chats with solar installers across the country. Thanks for listening to the Solar Power World podcast. Visit us online to hear more great podcasts, view industry videos, and read our great editorial content. SolarPowerWorldOnline.com. See you back here next month.